Hello, hello. It's Jane from Chalk Mercantile and Surface Anthology. And I realized I only have one camera. So I'm going to fix this so you won't have to look at my face the entire time. So I can show you something. I got a new color of chalk paint in and I really can't wait to use it. So let's get this going. I knew this was too easy when I started. Like, wait a minute. How come I only see me? There we go. So there's the little jewelry box we're going to paint. And let me move over. All right. Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody's doing great. I got in, hey Julie, good afternoon. Just before I start, this is a little jewelry box. I love these wood jewelry boxes to test stuff out on. And it's just a little jewelry box I got at Goodwill, right? I tried, hey Ari, Amanda, hi you guys. Thanks for joining me today. I usually take the hardware off, like that last one that I did, that really beautiful, big Japanese made jewelry box. This one is a different story. These little handles are quite fragile. They're, you know, a thinner metal, and I tried to pry one off and it's just not going well. So I'm going to have to paint over them. I don't do that with furniture ever, unless I cannot remove the hardware, like the whole piece will fall apart. I always take off the hardware, even if I'm going to paint it the same color as the piece. I just have to. I can't stand the thought on a piece of furniture that somebody just left the hardware on and painted over. And sometimes, you know, that hardware shifts and then you get that little ring of paint and underneath is unpainted. And if you ever want to switch out the hardware, you don't have a good paint finish underneath to do that. Oh, my computer's acting bizarre, my iPad. So I'm leaving the hardware on this one because I can't remove it. And it's a little $5 jewelry box. I cleaned this with Clean Slate. That's an Amy Howard at home product. I love this stuff. It just gets everything off and I don't have to rinse it. And here's the color I'm going to mix up. I love this color. It's called Putting on the Ritz. This is Toscana Milk Paint. This is by Amy Howard at home. So I'm going to open this up. Now with Amy Howard at home milk paints, she says it's going to look like the color in the bag when it's dry. That's what the color is going to end up looking like. Hey, you guys, let me know if I'm coming through okay today. Because, hey, Shannon, I'm just getting this weird little yellow warning thing. Who knows what it means? Okay, so I'm going to take out some of this. I didn't give my hand enough room to work here. I love this color. Look at that color. It's beautiful. I think I might add, I want to make it slightly lighter. So I'm going to add a little bit of white. This is the Strasbourg white, just a touch. I'll use the other end of my stick here. I'm doing good. I'm a little frenetic, right, Shannon? I was actually out earlier, and I was in a crazy house. Oh, good. I'm good. Thank you, Ari. I was like, I'm getting this weird thing, and I'm going to have to ignore it. But I was in this basement, you guys, this old house, and it was just filled. It had water everywhere, and there was a lot of mold, and I could smell like oil. and I'm like, oh my God. And I felt like my throat was closing up from like mold and stuff. And then we were in the garage, and there was this was an old, not a garage, like a new garage, like a carriage house. And it had this big old freezer. And I'm like, don't open that freezer. I don't want to know what's in there. So I'm mixing it dry. I'm mixing the white in with this color. I know, Shannon, you had to see me. But I had to see this old house. I love old houses. Oh, so then I left, and I'm like, I have to get something to drink. My throat is closing up. So I stopped and got a Diet Coke, which I don't normally drink, and I think it has a lot of caffeine. Oh, look at that, mixing it up. So you'll see those little lumps. Don't worry. Are you guys using milk paint? I love milk paint. I know Shannon uses milk paint. But, oh, what a morning. Have you ever gone into any of these, like to an open house or something? You just have to see the house. Ugh. So when you mix up milk paint, don't do what I'm doing. Don't do it right before you're going to paint your project. I just wanted to show how I mix it up because I get a lot of questions about that. You should really mix it up with some lukewarm, don't use ice cold water, and let it sit. Let it sit for at least an hour. Oh, good, Julie. I love milk paint. And you know, Julie, in the membership, I use a lot of milk paint, and I try to actually show similar techniques in milk paint, and then also show them in chalk or clay-based paint. That's why it's really important that I always have to find paint lines that you can wet distress with, meaning chalk and clay. Shannon's saying, old houses are amazing. It's worth a few minutes of toxic smells. Absolutely. But let me just tell you, this one had piles of like insect wings and corners and little mouse droppings. I said, I have to bring my cat Walter here. Right, Julie, you love them too. Absolutely. And yeah, it was an adventure for sure. Okay, now, this is a finished piece, right? It's wood. It's got stain on it. It's got some kind of shellac or poly. So I used the clean slate because that sometimes will rough up or take off like any pledge. Don't use pledge, on there. But I'm going to just grab my very worn sanding block. Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate that. Sprinkled. Thank you. I'm going to use my really old sanding block and just give it, hey, Deborah, good to see you. We're using a little milk paint in a new color. I'm just going to kind of rough it up just a little. This might break the finish, and I might end up with bleeding coming through. If that happens, then I'll tell you what I'm going to do, which I will do off camera. But let's see what we end up here with. So you see me just very, very lightly going over this. Now, Deborah, isn't it cute? Oh, Walter is cute, my cat. Oh, but this place was cool. It was very, very cool. Deborah, because you came late, we're using it's like having a class. Because you came in late, let me catch up. We're using a new to me color of milk paint, and I'm showing you guys how I work on a piece. Just straight milk paint, nothing fancy. And you know, yes, I bet it's a jewelry box. You know it. These are the best things to try new stuff out with. All right, so there it is. It's still dissolving, right? You see that? And if you get foam, which I really didn't, where's my stick here? You can run it through cheesecloth to kind of, you know, get rid of it. It will just filter it right out. All right, and it's thinner than we're used to when we use a chalk paint or a clay-based paint. And I'm using just my small brush because it's what's handy. All right, let's see. Let's see what we get. And I always say the first coat of milk paint is the ugly coat. It is not the, you know, the nice finished look. And we don't want it to be, I'm gonna just do this and then smooth it out. We don't want it to be really good looking the first time out because that means that we might be putting on too much paint. Each time you go back in, give it a little swirl. Now, if this was a piece of furniture that I was doing, I would do like the back of a leg, somewhere that is inconspicuous so I could test to see if the milk paint is even going to work. All right. Hey, Michelle, how are you? So this is called Putting on the Ritz, Shannon. And I actually just put all these milk paints over at the Chalk Mercantile site. So now they're two places. All right, I'm gonna dry this. Now I'm gonna, and before I dry it, I'm gonna show you, because it didn't really have a chance to set, see the little white streaks? Doesn't bother me, but if you let it sit for at least minimally 15 minutes, those pigments are gonna absorb the water and you're gonna get a good mix. All right, let's see. Now you see that lightening up, right? Can't go by what it looks like wet ever. Nice. I love it. It's a really, isn't that a pretty color? And it looks fabulous. We're not getting any chipping, right? It's just sticking. And we have a new member in the membership, Jane, another Jane. Hey, Jane, if you're watching in replay, who was asking about chipping milk paint. You know, if it's milk paint, it should chip. You know, asking me about that. Not necessarily, right? We don't know what it's going to do. This is like stuck down really, really nicely, right? It looks fabulous. Now, if I was working on a piece of furniture and I wanted it to chip, right? Say I did a little sample part in the back, a test, and I go, wow, it is not chipping at all. I would shellac this entire piece first. And if you go back on my YouTube channel, I have a whole milk paint tutorial, how I do that, just to get texture. That doesn't guarantee that it's going to chip though, right? Milk paint is gonna do what it wants to do. Now, I am gonna paint the front of this. I'm just gonna paint it flat with a little hardware and just go right over it. So give it a swirl. Now you guys saw me put the white in, right? I didn't measure it. Not only did I not measure it, I didn't write down my formula, right? 1 part white to, 3 parts putting on the reds. So when you're doing something like this, make sure you write your formula down. Or make sure you absolutely mix enough that you'll be able to paint the entire piece. So I'm using this 1-inch brush. And it's great for these kind of flat areas. Not so great for getting into all those little panels. So I'm going to quickly do this side. And I'm going to get my artist brush. Right, how many of you have used milk paint? Raise your hands and tell me what you think. Well, I grab my artist brush. Look at how I have such a hard time painting the hardware. And you see too, the artist brush is laying the paint down very, very differently than my 1-inch Authentico brush. But I really need it for this first coat just to get everything. Deborah has. Michelle says, milk paint terrifies me. Why? Tell me why. Isn't there a song? Tell me why. Why? I love it. I know people get scared though, Michelle. I really do. I hear it all the time. I just love it. And that's why getting a little project like this just is a great way to break the ice, right? Break the fear. And if you've ever watched Marion Parsons, who is the name behind the creator of Miss Mustard Seed Milk Paint, which I also use and sell, she always paints all her furniture closed like this. Amanda's saying, I've never used milk paint. Oh, it's fabulous. You gotta use it. You gotta use it, absolutely. You gotta give it a shot. It's really cool. It is unpredictable. It has a mind of its own. There's no doubt about it. See how I'm just swirling around? Just keep it mixed. I've had people in Connecticut that have old houses paint their walls with milk paint. They bought that from me in very large quantities. And there's just nothing like it. It's really neat. All right. There's the front. And Michelle's saying, yes, I will get a small item to try out. Absolutely. Get a little bag of milk paint. Go to Goodwill. Get yourself a jewelry box, right? Right, Deborah? It's the best. And paint it. Just give it a shot. If you hate it, you could go over it with another kind of paint. All right, I'm going to grab my 1-inch brush here and get the side done. And you can use milk paint along with chalk paint, along with clay-based paint. You could use them together, and I do a lot. And people in my membership will tell you that I do. They work really nicely together. And I think Shannon was even going to mix some chalk paint with some milk paint, right, Shannon, for a color. Okay. Look at that. It kind of has the look of patina, right? Deborah, it's like using pancake mix without the calories. Yeah! Deborah, how are all your things for Mardi Gras coming along? I saw a bright purple the other day and thought of you. Because I think of bright colors when I think of Mardi Gras. Shannon is saying, I mix everything up. Well, that's how you find out, right, Shannon? You won't know until you mix it up and see what happens. Wow. What's really interesting is how this paint has really, it's like a really smooth application. I don't think I even need to rough it up. Amanda says, my husband bought a gift package for me. Nice. From you a while back. And it included the Miss Mustard Seeds catalog. Isn't it beautiful? And Amanda's saying it's on my coffee table now, and I love to look through it. Gorgeous, right? Really, really beautiful. And all those paint finishes, obviously, right, Amanda, they're done in milk paint. I just love them. Love, love, love. All right, let's see. Wow. That is it's a really cool color, very un-Jane color. It does. Michelle's saying it dries to a lovely color. It does. Now, I thought this was cracking. It's not cracking or anything. It's just because I wasn't painting this flat. I had it to the side. That is really cool. All right, I'm going to do a second coat and see what happens. And then, what should I put on this? I have to do something. I might put some gold. Maybe I'll gold leaf over these little pole. These are, I call them poles, hang poles, because it's kind of looking like turquoisey. Uh-oh. Guys, I'm gonna disappear for 2 seconds because my iPad storage is full. So I'm gonna go off right now. And you know why it's full, you guys? It's because I've been working on my big workshop launch, right, for the membership. Oh, so I am going to go and empty this out. Shannon says, Michelle, definitely try it. You can do different ratios of water and paint to get different effects, right? You could do washes. You could do really, really, really cool stuff. Hey, Danielle. How are you doing? Yes, you're going to watch the replay for sure. So you guys, like I said, I just got the warning that my iPad storage is like full because I've got, I think, 20 lessons on there that I need to move over. A new IOD product. Yes, right. I could wait and put that on here. I've got everything listed on my site, you guys, but it's all in draft. You can't buy anything yet, but I got it there. So the second they say we can sell it, I'm gonna do that. All right, so let me go for a few minutes, and actually that's gonna give this a chance to dry, because I do wanna do the second coat and maybe do some leafing. So I'll be back in a few minutes, you guys. I've got to empty out my my iPad storage. All right.